It is with great honor and gratitude that I welcome you, the guest of honor, Mr. Kainde Ichilema, being represented here by the Vice President, as we gather for the third African Implementation and Partnership Conference on Water. Guest of honor, the theme for this conference, assuring sustainable water availability and safe sanitation systems to achieve the goals of Agenda 2063, resonates well with the huge challenges faced by African countries in the water sector, and in a drive to raise the sectorial issues higher in the political agenda of the region. Guest of honor, your leadership and unwavering commitment to sustainable water development and sanitation continue to inspire transformative change across our great nation and beyond. Today, as we converge to address one of Africa's most pressing challenges, water security, we recognize the vital role of vision and collaboration across Africa in shaping a future where every citizen has access to clean and reliable water. Vice President, we are confident that the deliberations and engagements today and ahead will yield meaningful strategies that will propel our continent towards sustainable water governance. Your presence today underscores the importance of this mission, and we are deeply honored to have your guidance as we navigate the path to progress. On behalf of the province, Lusaka province, where I'm minister, I extend our warmest welcome to you, the guest of honor, and all invited guests to this conference. May this conference be a beacon of innovation, unity, and impactful solutions that advance Africa's water agenda. May God bless Zambia, may God bless Africa, and may God bless all of you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That was our host, the minister of this province where we are gathering today, the minister of Lusaka province, Honorable Shio Muliata, MP, and indeed, you could tell from her voice how proud she is to be the host of the third PANAFCON, the first one having been held in Addis Ababa in 2003, and the second one in 2009 in Johannesburg, South Africa. The third one here in Lusaka. So once again, a very warm welcome to all the delegates. Could I just see very quickly by show of hands, how many of you are coming to Zambia for the very first time in your life? Oh, wow. What took you so long? That is my question for you right now. Well, I'm sure you will hear this from the Vice President herself. You are more than welcome, even to stay as long as you want, to stay forever if you so wish. Make Zambia a home if you'd like, but we're very, very happy, we're always very happy to welcome guests to our country. And so now, after those remarks from our host minister, I'd like to invite Her Excellency Carolina Stasiak, who is the ambassador of the European Union to Zambia and special representative to COMESA, to come forward and give remarks on behalf of the European Union Commissioner for International Partnerships, His Excellency Joseph Sikela. Let's put our hands together for Her Excellency Carolina Stasiak, the ambassador of the European Union to Zambia and COMESA.
Good morning. Your Honor, the Vice President of the Republic of Zambia, African Union Commissioner for Agriculture and Rural Development, the President of the African Ministers' Council of Water, Cabinet Ministers of the Republic of Zambia, the Provincial Minister of the Lusaka Province, thank you for hosting us for this event, honorable visiting ministers responsible for water management from across Africa, distinguished guests. Let me begin by expressing our sincere gratitude to Zambia for hosting this important conference today. Your hospitality, but also your leadership on this important subject and in convening us here around this critical issue is really deeply appreciated. 3 years ago, at the European Union-African Union Summit in 2022, our leaders committed to building a renewed partnership, one grounded in mutual trust, shared values, and a common vision of solidarity, peace, prosperity, and sustainable development. And water is really at the heart of this vision. Water connects us all, and water knows no borders. We are here because we believe that working together on shared water resources can foster peace, resilience, and regional integration. And transboundary water management is more than just a technical challenge. It is a strategic priority for sustainable development, climate action, and peace building. And it is in this spirit that I'm very proud to launch today, on behalf of the European Commissioner for International Partnerships, the Blue Africa Action, which is a flagship of the Team Europe initiative on transboundary water management in Africa. This initiative is the cornerstone of our collective effort to strengthen Africa's water governance at the continental level, in close partnership with the African Union and with the African Ministers' Council of Water. The Blue Africa Action showcases that only through cooperation at national, regional, but also continental level, we can ensure sustainable and fair water governance systems. This action demonstrates that practical, cooperative solutions are not only possible, they are already delivering results. Distinguished guests, today we also mark a second milestone, the release of the first progress report of the Team Europe initiative. In just a few years, over 672 million euros, which is an equivalent to more than 20 billion Zambian kwacha, has been mobilized to support transboundary water cooperation in Africa through improved governance, capacity building, data sharing, and climate resilient investments. From Lake Chad to the Senegal River Basin, from Southern Africa to the Nile, our efforts now cover 60% of Africa's territory and will impact over 900 million people. And this goes beyond development cooperation. It is regional integration in action. It brings together the EU, our member states, African institutions, and basin organizations under a shared vision. And today, I'm especially pleased to welcome Finland as the 9th European Union member state joining the Team Europe initiative, along other member states who are already part of it: Austria, Belgium, Czech Republic, Denmark, France, Germany, Slovenia, and Sweden. Beyond funding, Finland brings on board world-class expertise in water diplomacy, in integrated water resources management, and in environmental governance. And this is why the European Union firmly supports the Water Convention. We applaud the remarkable progress made since 2018. 12 African countries have joined the convention, including Zambia, just last year under the leadership of your Honor, the Vice President. We are also seeing this momentum reflected in broader cooperation efforts. Today, 21 African countries report that 90% or more of their transboundary river and lake basins are covered by operational arrangements under SDG Indicator 652. That's an increase of 3 countries since 2020. We must go further and scale up investment, strengthen coordination across different sectors, and meaningfully include women and youth in decision-making. We must improve data management, foster knowledge exchange, and invest in innovation and nature-based solutions. Distinguished guests, in Zambia, the sustainable management of water resources remains insufficiently addressed, and access to water and sanitation in Zambia in 2024 remained particularly challenging, especially in rural areas. To address these challenges, we joined hands with the government of Zambia in the design and implementation of the Nexus Energy and Water Program for Zambia, NUSA. This is a key initiative under our Global Gateway strategy, which is designed to improve the energy-water nexus across multiple provinces in Zambia by supporting the national water utilities. Funded with 3.5 billion Zambian kwacha by the EU, Germany, and UNICEF, and implemented by the water utilities in cooperation with the Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation, NWASCO, and local ministries and authorities. And still at national level, the EU supports the revision of the National Water Policy, the Water Resources Management Act, and the National Rainwater Harvesting Strategy, among other policy instruments. At local level, we support restoration and protection of water catchment and their ecosystems. And in the region, we just started the design of a transboundary water management program for the Zambezi River Basin with 20 million euros. This proves that improving transboundary water management and enhancing access to water and sanitation are two sides of the same coin. One leads to the other, and we must work on both in parallel. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. That was Her Excellency Carolina Stasiak, the Ambassador of the European Union to Zambia and Special Representative to COMESA. And indeed, we appreciate your support, yours and the rest of the sponsors of our conference. I would now like to invite Eunice G. Kamwendo, who is the Director for UNECA's Sub-Regional Office for Southern Africa, to come and give remarks as she represents the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Her Excellency Amina J. Mohammed. Let's put our hands together for Ms. Eunice Kamwendo as she comes.
Thank you very much, Program Director. And before I get into my remarks, allow me to recognize the guest of honor, Dr. Mutale Namalungo. No, it's because I'm from Malawi and I'm getting confused because Malawi is more, we would say Namalungo, indeed, but also recognizing the high table and allow me to ride on the protocol that has already laid down. So my, and I'm hoping that I will do this well, and I want to take the cue from the MC before who said we should greet you in the language that we come from. So mine is an adopted one because I'm based in Zambia, and I'll say Mashiukeni. Thank you, thank you. So on behalf of distinguished guests, colleagues, partners, and I've also seen a lot of ambassadors here, so excellencies, on behalf of the UN Deputy Secretary General, Ms. Amina J. Mohammed, but also on behalf of the Undersecretary General for ECA, Economic Commission for Africa, allow me to share some of the sentiments and the work that we're doing as the UN in partnership with all of you to support the water issue that we have gathered here today. It is a great pleasure indeed for the UN to join all of you on this endeavor. The vital role of water in Africa's development can never be underestimated. Water, as mentioned before, is the foundation of life, the backbone of our economies, and the cornerstone of sustainable development. Yet, as we see, we also saw on the film that we had, the video that we had before, despite its critical importance, many African nations face profound challenges in harnessing water resources to fuel growth and improve livelihoods. Africa's economic development, and I think not just Africa, I think worldwide, hinges on water, from supporting agriculture along the Nile River Basin, for example, to powering industries, but also creating electricity for hydropower, for example. Water sustains our efforts and promotes also peace and security. A recent UN report highlights that over 500 water-related protests across 28 countries evidence that water insecurity can threaten social cohesion and security. It is quite a real challenge and risk that we also have to manage. The challenges facing water and sanitation in Africa, if you look at the numbers, I think it's really quite staggering. The reality, however, it's stark. We have about 400 million Africans lacking access to safe drinking water, and millions more suffer from inadequate sanitations. Climate change is compounding this crisis, and I think we are feeling it a lot more closely for all of us. The Sahel region, for example, could see water availability drop up to 70% by 2100. This is a few years from now. It is quite a scary thought if you look at that. Our infrastructure is also hugely underfunded, requiring an estimated 64 billion annually, yet current investments are only a fraction of this. Most financing comes from development partners, and the private sector investment remains limited due to complex risks and regulatory barriers. Without urgent action, we risk leaving millions behind and further destabilizing our continent. This is where the role of the United Nations becomes vital. We support, and this is across a lot of the agencies that we have in a lot of the countries that we find ourselves in, we support regional frameworks that promote integrated water resource management, and I think the start of this conversation, especially looking at the next vision for water, is quite critical and will certainly ensure that we accompany you, all of us, on this journey as the United Nations. We also support, making sure that we are fostering policy dialogue on transboundary water issues. Again, the ambassador mentioned this. This is, it's not just national. A lot of these conversations also go transboundary. And we also provide critical research on climate impacts. We are committed as the United Nations to building capacity, leveraging technology and innovation, and engaging communities to develop sustainable, locally appropriate solutions. But what must we do? I think it's a key question that we all have to ask ourselves in this forum. The time for action is now. First, we must prioritize water in national development agendas, recognizing its centrality to achieving the SDGs. We also need to mainstream water considerations into nationally determined contributions. Climate adaptation plans and disaster risk reduction strategies would be another area where we do need to focus on. Second, we must strengthen early warning systems to protect vulnerable communities from floods, to droughts. And I think there is no region on the continent that hasn't seen the impact of these climate effects of floods and droughts. So early warning systems, I think, critical in there. Only 18 African countries currently have multi-hazard early warning systems. We must bridge this gap by 2027, as called for by the UN Secretary General. Third, we need a collective effort, governments, regional bodies, international partners, the private sector, and local communities to mobilize the requisite investments and foster innovation. Valuing water must become the backbone of Africa Water Vision 2025 and beyond. Together, we can build a water-secure Africa where every community has access to safe, reliable water and sanitation. We have a tremendous opportunity to create a legacy, one of resilience, inclusion, and sustainable development. Let us seize this opportunity, therefore, for the benefit of the generations for the years to come. And I think this is very important and critical for sustainable development. The future of Africa depends on our collective action, and we should really push us, therefore, to make water security and a shared prosperity for all of us. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Those were remarks delivered by Ms. Eunice Kamwendo, Director, UNECA, UNECA Sub-Regional Office. When she started her speech, she greeted us in Bemba. She said, Mwashibukeni. But now that she is done with her speech and she has delivered it, I will probably say in the same language, Twatotela, which means thank you. Would you like to say that after me? Twatotela. Okay. If you go down south to the southern province, we would say Twalumba. Okay. I guarantee you by the end of the 3 days, you will be Zambian. Thank you so much for those remarks that were delivered by Ms. Kamwendo on behalf of the Deputy Secretary General, United Nations, His Excellency, or Her Excellency Amina J. Mohammed. Ladies and gentlemen, we move on and we have many delegates adding their voice to our conference in line with the theme, Assuring Inclusive and Climate Resilient Water Security and Sanitation for the Africa We Want. It is my honor and privilege at this point to call upon, on behalf of the Vice President, Agriculture, Human and Social Development, African Development Bank, Dr. Beth Danford, who should have been here, but is being represented by Mr. Mchera Chilwa, Director, Water and Sanitation, African Development Bank. Allow me to call upon Mr. Chilwa to deliver remarks. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Madam Master of Ceremonies. Your Honor, Madam Dr. Mutale Nalumango, Vice President of the Republic of Zambia. Your Excellency, Mr. Collins Zovu, MP, Minister of Water Development and Sanitation of Zambia. Honorable Sheo Muliata, MP, Provincial Minister for Lusaka Province, our host here. Your Excellency, Moses Filakati, Commissioner, African Union Commission, responsible for agriculture, blue economy and environment. Your Excellency Dr. Sheikh Tidiane Diaye, Minister of Water and Sanitation for the Republic of Senegal and President of the African Ministers' Council on Water. Your Excellency, Ambassador for the European Union to Zambia and the Comesa region. My sister, Eunice Kamwendo, Director for United Nations Regional Office here in Southern Africa. Honorable ministers from different African countries here present, and members of the African Ministers' Council. Your Excellencies, ambassadors representing various countries are here present. Distinguished representatives from international and regional organizations, members of civil society, academia, the private sector, ladies and gentlemen. It is both a distinct privilege and a profound honor to address you today at this official opening of the landmark Third Pan-African Implementation and Partnership Conference on Water, PANAFCON-3, on behalf of Dr. Beth Danford, our Vice President for Agriculture, Human and Social Development of the African Development Bank, who could not be with us today. As you are aware, the African Development Bank's annual meeting are taking place at this very time in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. The African Development Bank wishes to convey our profound gratitude to His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema of the Republic of Zambia, the government and the people of Zambia for their generous support for hosting this high-level conference in Lusaka and for the excellent facilities put to our disposal. This gathering is not merely a conference. It is a pivotal moment, a strategic milestone in our collective endeavor to forge a sustainable and water-secure future for Africa, particularly as we look towards the horizon beyond 2025. The formulation of the post-2025 Africa Water Vision and Policy, which is at the heart of our deliberations this week, could not be more timely. Our continent is at a critical juncture. We face escalating pressures on our finite water resources, driven by convergence of rapid population growth, accelerating urbanization, the expanding needs of agriculture, and the increasingly severe impacts of climate change. The Africa Water Vision 2025, which was launched in the year 2000, has undeniably provided a valuable framework and spurred progress in areas such as improved water governance and increased access to basic services for millions. However, we must be candid in our assessment. Progress towards achieving these ambitious goals is significantly off track. This reality necessitates a strategic recalibration, an honest reflection, and a renewed commitment and call to action. The post-2025 Africa Water Vision and Policy process offers us precisely this golden opportunity, a chance to collectively rethink our strategies and revitalize our approaches to water resources management and development. It is a moment to critically assess why universal access to safe water and adequate sanitation remains an elusive dream for many Africans, particularly the vulnerable and marginalized. And importantly, it is an occasion to champion the paradigm shifts that are urgently needed on our continent. We must move beyond viewing water solely through the social lens to fully recognizing and integrating its profound economic contributions to all productive sectors. This includes unlocking the potential of the sanitation economy. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this new vision for Africa's water sector comes at a time of global geopolitical flux, which directly impacts funding. Previous financing approaches have fallen short of the 40 to 50 billion annual investment needed. Therefore, a key priority for the period after 2025 is to embrace diverse and innovative financing methods. This includes intensifying efforts to mobilize domestic funds, strategically leveraging private sector expertise and investment, and utilizing dedicated climate finance to ensure our water systems are sustainable and resilient in the long term. Crucially, the new water vision and policy provides the mechanism to firmly align our water sector activities within the African Union's Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. The post-2025 Africa Water Vision must be an integral implementation framework for achieving Aspiration 1 of Agenda 2063, which calls for a prosperous Africa based on inclusive growth and sustainable development. This strategic linkage will elevate water security and sustainable sanitation as foundational pillars supporting Africa's broader socio-economic transformation. Further, underscoring this commitment, the African Union has rightly designated assuring sustainable water availability and safe sanitation systems to achieve goals of Agenda 2063 as its theme for the year 2026. Furthermore, as we chart this new course, we must leverage the fourth industrial revolution. Innovations such as digitalization, artificial intelligence, and remote sensing to improve water management efficiency, service delivery, and climate resilience, while also enabling data-driven decisions across Africa. Additionally, PANAFCON-3 offers a crucial platform to share insights and practical experiences from 25 years of water management efforts since Africa Water Vision 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, the African Development Bank has been and remains deeply committed to Africa's water development. We are proud to be recognized as a premier financing institution for the water sector on the continent. Our journey in supporting Africa's water aspirations is long-standing. We are privileged to partner with UNECA in spearheading the development of the regional Africa Water Vision 2025. And beyond championing this vision, the bank demonstrated its commitment by hosting instrumental support mechanisms, including the Africa Water Facility, the Rural Water Supply and Sanitation Initiative, and the Multi-Donor Water Partnership Program, which have since been consolidated into the Africa Water Facility that the bank continues to proudly host. Our financial commitment alone over the past decade exceeds 8 billion euro in water sanitation projects across 40 African countries, directly benefiting 92 million people. Our support also extends to critical policy development processes and fostering Africa's voice in global water forums. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, PANAFCON-3 did not materialize in isolation. It is a critical milestone and a key part of a strategic process, including extensive preparatory work encompassing thematic paper preparations, member state consultations, and sub-regional dialogues. This comprehensive effort will culminate in the presentation of the post-2025 Africa Water Vision and Policy set to be adopted by the AU Assembly of Heads of State and Government in February 2026. The African Development Bank has been an integral part of this preparatory process, providing expertise and support, and we remain fully committed to its collaboration with African Union Commission and AMCAO. In conclusion, I call on all of us to approach the deliberations during this week at PANAFCON-3 with a shared sense of urgency, optimism, and determination. The outcomes of this conference, a robust, reviewed draft of the post-2025 vision, clear political guidance, and strong stakeholder ownership must resonate far beyond these halls, translating into actionable commitments and tangible impacts on the ground. The African Development Bank pledges its unwavering support to realize the inclusive, resilient, and water-secure Africa we want. Thank you very much for your attention. I thank you.
That was Mr. Mchera Chirwa, the Director of Water and Sanitation from the African Development Bank, representing the Vice President for Agriculture, Human and Social Development, Dr. Beth Danford. Thank you very much, Mr. Chirwa. We'd now like to invite the Minister of Water and Sanitation from Senegal, and he's also the President of the African Ministers' Council on Water, Dr. Chik Tidiane Dieye. Let's give him a round of applause to welcome him to the lectern to deliver his remarks.
Thank you very much. Please, ladies and gentlemen, put your headphones as I will deliver my remarks in French, which I am more comfortable with. Thank you. Thank you. Honorable Mutale Nalumango, vice-présidente de la République de Zambie, représentant son Excellence Hakainde Hichilema, président de la République, Mesdames, Messieurs les ministres, Mesdames, Messieurs distingués invités, Mesdames, Messieurs les partenaires au développement, chers participants. C'est pour moi un honneur et un grand plaisir de prendre part à cette troisième conférence panafricaine sur la mise en œuvre et le partenariat sur l'eau, PANAFCON-3. Madame la vice-présidente, je vous prie de bien vouloir transmettre à son Excellence, Monsieur le Président de la République de Zambie, le message d'amitié et de fraternité de son Excellence, Monsieur Bassirou Diomaye Faye, Président de la République du Sénégal. Le président Faye remercie son frère et ami, le président Hichilema, pour son invitation et regrette de ne pas avoir pu participer personnellement à cette importante conférence ici en Zambie en raison d'un engagement qu'il avait pris d'effectuer une visite d'État en République de Guinée-Bissau où il se trouve en ce moment même. En tant que président du Conseil des ministres africains de l'eau AMCAO, je voudrais également exprimer ma gratitude et ma satisfaction à l'endroit du peuple et du gouvernement zambien pour l'accueil chaleureux et l'hospitalité généreuse qui nous ont été réservés depuis notre arrivée ici à Lusaka. C'est le symbole d'une Afrique généreuse et accueillante. Nous nous sentons bien ici à Lusaka, nous nous sentons chez nous dans cette ville qui nous accueille avec autant de fraîcheur. PANAFCON-3 se tient à un moment charnière de la marche de l'Afrique vers le développement équitable et résilient au changement climatique. En parfait alignement à la vision 2050 de l'Union africaine, mais également en parfait alignement à la vision africaine de l'eau, une Afrique intégrée, prospère et pacifique, dirigée par ses propres citoyens, cette conférence représente une occasion unique de définir les orientations futures en matière de politique de l'eau et de l'assainissement sur notre continent. Depuis son élaboration en 2000, la vision africaine de l'eau 2025 a servi de plan directeur continental pour guider les réformes de gouvernance, les innovations politiques et les partenariats régionaux. Pourtant, alors que nous nous rapprochons de son échéance en 2025, il convient de reconnaître avec lucidité que les progrès réalisés demeurent inégaux à l'échelle du continent. Les défis demeurent tels que la croissance démographique, le changement climatique, l'urbanisation et les déficits de financement qui continuent de fragiliser et de menacer nos objectifs en matière d'accès à l'eau, de sécurité de l'eau et de l'assainissement. Mesdames et Messieurs, honorable Madame la Vice-présidente, chers invités, distingués participants, les engagements pris à Sharm el-Sheikh en Égypte en 2008 appelaient à une action audacieuse. Mais bien que des progrès notables aient été réalisés, les évaluations récentes montrent que nous sommes encore loin de la bonne voie. C'est la réalité, ou cette réalité nous oblige donc à agir différemment, de manière décisive, de manière inclusive, mais également de manière collaborative. C'est pourquoi, Mesdames et Messieurs, cette conférence PANAFCON-3 qui se tient ici à Lusaka revêt une importance capitale. Ce dialogue de haut niveau, multipartite, dépasse le cadre d'une simple conférence. C'est un mécanisme essentiel pour élaborer conjointement la vision et la politique africaine de l'eau post-2025. C'est un cadre renouvelé et tourné vers l'avenir qui devrait nous conduire à la mise en œuvre de l'aspiration 1 de l'agenda 2063, une Afrique prospère, fondée sur la croissance inclusive et le développement, mais également à l'objectif 7, qui nous prône une économie, des économies et des communautés écologiquement durables et résilientes au changement climatique, avec bien entendu un accent particulier sur la sécurité de l'eau comme domaine prioritaire. En se projetant sur l'avenir, plusieurs impératifs doivent guider nos actions. Il s'agit premièrement de garantir que la sécurité de l'eau n'est pas seulement une question sectorielle, c'est un pilier fondamental de la paix, de la santé, de la sécurité alimentaire et de la croissance économique. Deuxièmement, que l'assainissement n'est pas un privilège, c'est un droit humain fondamental et un baromètre de notre dignité en tant que nation et en tant que communauté. Troisièmement, nous devons également reconnaître que les jeunes qui représentent 60% de notre population, les femmes, le secteur privé, le monde de la recherche et la société civile ne doivent pas seulement être consultés, ils doivent être responsables en tant que partenaires et acteurs du processus de transformation de notre continent. Enfin, la coopération transfrontalière ne doit pas être un vœu pieux pour notre continent qui compte 63 bassins hydrographiques transfrontaliers et plus d'une centaine d'aquifères transfrontaliers. Cette coopération doit donc être le moteur de l'intégration, de la croissance, de la prospérité pour notre continent. Mesdames et Messieurs, nous exprimons notre gratitude à la Zambie pour le rôle moteur qu'elle continue de jouer en accueillant ce PANAFCON-3, ainsi qu'aux partenaires au développement pour leur soutien indéfectible, pour le renforcement de la planification et le développement ou la gouvernance de l'eau en Afrique. Permettez-moi également, Mesdames et Messieurs, de remercier au nom de toute la famille AMCAO, la Commission de l'Union africaine, la Banque africaine de développement, tous nos partenaires pour leur soutien et leur collaboration. Alors que nous élaborons la vision africaine de l'eau post-2025, veillons à ce qu'elle reflète la diversité de nos parties prenantes et la diversité de nos aspirations, notamment en perspective de la conférence des Nations Unies sur l'eau de 2026, que le Sénégal aura le plaisir de co-organiser avec les Émirats arabes unis dans le cadre de l'agenda 2030. Œuvrons donc ensemble pour que cette vision soit une vision audacieuse, qu'elle soit réaliste et réalisable, mais également ancrée dans les réalités africaines vécues par nos populations ici en Zambie, ailleurs aussi en Afrique. Dans la vision de l'Afrique que nous voulons en 2063 et en déclarant l'année 2026 comme l'année de l'eau en Afrique, l'Union africaine place assurément l'eau au cœur des priorités continentales. Car aujourd'hui, plus que jamais, l'eau doit nous unir, elle doit nous rassembler et elle doit rester un vecteur de paix, de résilience et de développement pour notre cher continent, l'Afrique. Je vous remercie pour votre bien aimable attention.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. Those were remarks that were delivered by the Minister of Water and Sanitation, Senegal, and President, African Ministers' Council of Water, Dr. Sheikh Tidiane Dieye. Let's give him another round of applause. Please note that we have several ministers in charge of water affairs that will be having side themes that they will be interrogating later on this afternoon, as well as the subsequent days during the conference. Look forward to those very important conversations. It is now my honor to call upon His Excellency Mr. Moses Vilakati, Commissioner for Agriculture and Rural Development, to deliver remarks that should have been delivered by the Chairperson, African Union Commission, His Excellency Mohammed Ali Yusuf. Let's give him a round of applause as he comes through.
Your Excellency, Dr. Mutala Nalumbango, the Vice President of the Republic of Zambia, Excellencies, representatives of heads of state and government, Honorable Sheikh Tidiane Dieye, Minister of Water and Sanitation of the Republic of Senegal, and the President of the African Ministers' Council on Water, Honorable Collins Ndlovu, Minister of Water, Development and Sanitation of the Republic of Zambia, Honorable Ministers of Water and Sanitation of the various countries, Her Excellency Amina J. Mohamed, Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Her Excellency Joseph Sikela, Commissioner for International Partnerships of the European Union, Dr. Beth Danford, Vice President, Agriculture, Human and Social Development of the African Development Bank, Honorable Shil Murata, Provincial Minister for the Lusaka Province, Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, representatives of international and continental organizations, our development partners present here today, media, youth and women groups, and the people with special needs, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, fellow Africans, I bring to you greetings from His Excellency Mohammed Ali Yusuf, the Chairperson of the African Union Commission, who would have loved to be in our midst today, but unfortunately, due to equally pressing matters of our continent, he tenders his apology. Excellencies, honorable delegates, it is an honor to express our gratitude to His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema, the President of the Republic of Zambia, and the people of this great republic for the legendary hospitality that has been accorded to us since our arrival to this beautiful city of Lusaka. Allow me also to thank His Excellency the President for hosting the third African Implementation and Partnership Conference on Water, commonly called PANAFCON-3, that we're officially initiating today here in Lusaka, Zambia, from the 27th to the 29th May 2025, under the theme, Assuring Inclusive and Climate Resilient Water Security and Sanitation for the Africa we want. We are also honored to have the honorable ministers responsible for water and sanitation across our rich and beautiful continent of Africa. A warmly welcome to the honorable ministers, to the members of parliament, and representatives of the various organizations, including the wider water and sanitation community of Africa. Excellencies, honorable ministers, Africa must recognize that water is a critical resource and an enabler for sustainable socio-economic development. Because Africa's aspiration for economic growth, social transformation, regional integration, trade, peace, and security, collectively coined as Africa's Agenda 2063, is dependent on sustainable water availability. Africa cannot achieve the aspiration of Agenda 2063 or the Sustainable Development Goals without reliable water supply. For example, how can we produce food and address hunger in a changing climate without water for irrigation? How do we switch to clean energy under the framework of a just energy transition without water supply? The list goes on, and it is the same for our industrialization goal and on the health front. COVID-19 reminded us about the importance of water as it relates to hygiene and sanitation. In this respect, the African Union Commission has been elevating water and sanitation issues to the level of heads of state and government and promoting direct connection of water with national development plans. This is a critical paradigm shift, not only in our approach of managing our water resources, but also in our appreciation and valuing of water. Allow me, Your Excellency and honorable ministers, to commend our heads of state and government for recognizing the catalytic role of water and sanitation in our development agenda, as demonstrated by the adoption of water and sanitation as the AU theme for 2026. It reads, assuring sustainable water availability and safe sanitation systems to achieve the goals of Agenda 2063. This decision of our leaders is also informed by the fact that despite abundant water resources, both surface and underground ones, Africa still has about 400 million people without access to safely managed water and 800 million without access to sanitation. Yes, we have deserts and are experiencing increasing frequency of droughts, but what Africa lacks is sustained investments in water and sanitation development, including in maintaining water infrastructures. This is particularly a challenge in our cities where infrastructure built some years back are no longer able to cope with the growing population. It is for this reason that our leaders, in their wisdom, developed the Africa Water Investment Program, which is supporting member states to develop national water investment programs and thus strive to close the investment gap in order to realize access to water and sanitation by 2030. Excellencies and honorable ministers, climate change is one of the major challenges of our time, and it is threatening our water resources and affecting the pattern and distribution of precipitation on our continent. As the African Union Commission, we are working with partners to develop what we call multi-country programs aimed at supporting member states to access readiness funding from the Green Climate Fund in order to help them build resilience of their water sector to the impacts of climate change. We thank wholeheartedly the Green Climate Fund because they approved phase 1 of this project that is supporting 15 AU member states, and we are now looking forward to phase 2 of this important project. Furthermore, recognizing the huge gap to access sustainable water and safely managed sanitation services in Africa, and mindful of the role of water in building climate resilience in the various socio-economic sectors, Africa is preparing its new water vision and policy. I'm glad to report to Your Excellency and honorable ministers that following regional consultations, we now have a draft vision and policy document, the summarized version of which was circulated to our member states. We thank AU member states, the European Union, and other partners for their financial contribution towards this process. The development of the water vision and policy is a joint venture with AMCO, and we're looking forward to your critical review and contributions towards its finalization and approval. This PANAFCON-3 is intended to provide opportunity to collect inputs aimed at enriching this current document. During the PANAFCON-3, we shall have thematic sessions that will generate policy issues or interventions which are going to be incorporated into the draft water vision and policy. Excellencies and honorable ministers, the African Union Commission conveys its gratitude to the leadership and commitment of the Republic of Zambia in promoting climate resilient and inclusive water security in Africa. His Excellency the President Hakainde Hichilema's role by being a member of the high-level panel on water investment for Africa and his leadership in developing the Zambia Water Investment Program that the President launched on the 16th of July, 2022, on the margins of the 4th Mid-Year Coordination Summit of African Union Heads of State and Government here in Lusaka is highly commendable. We therefore appeal to other AU member states to also place water at the center of their development, given its role in sectors such as mining, tourism, agriculture, energy, fisheries, and manufacturing. Excellencies, honorable ministers, the water vision and policy alone does not take Africa far. We need to act. Africa needs to act through developing and implementing its water investment program towards climate resilient and inclusive water security. Africa also needs to act through developing and implementing its water investment projects to ensure water security for all. And Africa needs to act through mobilizing investment and finance for water security, mainly focusing on domestic sources of finance. On this note, I would like to inform you that the African Union Commission, in collaboration with the government of the Republic of South Africa, is organizing the Africa Water Investment Summit, which will take place from the 13th to the 15th of August in Cape Town, South Africa, as part of South Africa's presidency of G20. The Honorable Minister of the Republic of South Africa will share more details in some of the thematic discussions. Excellencies, honorable ministers, allow me this opportunity to assure you wholeheartedly that the African Union Commission is committed to ensure that the new Africa Water Vision and policy is formulated and adopted to place water and sanitation at the very heart of achieving Africa Union's Agenda 2063. And as I conclude, Your Excellencies, allow me the opportunity to thank once again the government and the people of the Republic of Zambia for hosting all of us here. Allow me also to thank our co-conveners of PANAFCON-3, specifically the the African Ministers' Council on Water, AMCOW, the Southern African Development Community, SADC, the African Development Bank, Africa Water Facility, and the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. Let me also express our appreciation to all the partners and sponsors who generously supported this wonderful event. Finally, I wish you all successful deliberations and productive dialogues during the 3 days of the PANAFCON-3. I thank you. I thank Africa.
And we thank you, Your Excellency, Vilakati. The Commissioner for Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy and Sustainable Environment from the African Union Commission, representing the chairperson of the African Union Commission, the Excellency Mahamoud Ali Yusuf. Ladies and gentlemen, we're drawing close to the moment where our guest of honor addresses us. Just before she does, allow me to invite the host minister for Zambia, that's the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation, Honorable Collins Nzovu, MP, to come and deliver his remarks, and then he will go on to invite our guest of honor to rise and address us. Let's put our hands together for Honorable Nzovu.
Thank you very much, MC. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Let me start by recognizing our distinguished guest of honor, the Vice President of the Republic of Zambia, Dr. W.K. Nalumango. Here also representing His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, who you distinguished ladies and gentlemen bestowed him as champion of water and sanitation here in Africa. We recognize the presence of our President for the African Ministers' Council on Water, Dr. Dier, Mr. Vilakati, the Commissioner on Agriculture, fellow Cabinet Ministers present here, Honorable Mutolo Piri and Mike Mposha, a special recognition from all the ministers of water and sanitation who are here today in Lusaka, Zambia. And your distinguished guest of honor, we have over 30 ministers. I think let's give them a round of applause. Thank you for taking time to come here. Thank you for taking time to come and deliberate so that we provide water solutions to our people. Honorable Muliata, thank you, Madam, for being here. Let me recognize also the various permanent secretaries here, including the Permanent Secretary for Water, Mr. Kamanga, other visiting dignitaries representing the EU, ADB, and all of you gathered here. It is indeed with great pride and honor that I welcome you all to Lusaka, Zambia for the 3rd African Implementation and Partnership Conference on Water, popularly known as PANAFCON-3. On behalf of the government and the people of the Republic of Zambia, I extend our heartfelt appreciation to each one of you for joining us at this very important gathering. We are particularly honored to host a distinguished assembly of political leaders, technical experts, private sector actors, and civil society representatives from across the African continent and beyond. Your presence here reflects our shared commitment to advancing the water and sanitation agenda across Africa. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, allow me to express Zambia's sincere gratitude to the African Union the African Union Commission, and the African Ministers' Council on Water, AMCO, for endorsing Zambia as the host of this very important event. We equally acknowledge our co-conveners, the African Development Bank, the Southern Africa Development Community, SADC, and the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, UNECA, for their steadfast partnership and continued dedication to this cause. Distinguished guest of honor, honorable ministers present, while we have made commendable progress in expanding water and sanitation services across the continent, significant challenges still persist. Africa still faces the compounded impacts of rapid population growth, urbanization, climate change, and a legacy of underinvestment. These realities have left millions without reliable access to clean water or adequate sanitation, which are fundamental human rights that are essential for human dignity, health, and development. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, PANAFCON-3, therefore, is not just another conference, but a crucial platform to transition from vision to implementation. It is an opportunity to harmonize our efforts to scale up climate-resilient interventions and deliver practical and impactful outcomes for all our citizens across the African continent. Water security underpins every facet of sustainable development, be it agriculture, food security, public health, industrial growth, or disaster resilience. Sanitation, in particular, ensures dignity and health, especially for women and girls, and lays the foundation for strong and equitable communities. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, furthermore, transboundary water cooperation, when effectively managed, can serve as a catalyst for regional integration, peace, and shared prosperity. These principles must guide our discussions and actions as we shape a united path towards Africa's water-secure future, in line with the Africa we want. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let's not forget that this important gathering is expected to feed into two very important events coming shortly. Number one, the AU Africa Water Investment Program Summit in Cape Town in August 2025 under South Africa's G20 presidency. This is very, very important. What we do here, the outcomes here will fit into that very, very important summit. The final framework, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to be presented to the AU Heads of State Summit in February 2026, deliberations here, decisions here, will be presented in that summit by our own president, President Hakainde Hichilema. So what we do here, the decisions we make here are very, very important. Distinguished guests of honor, allow me to quickly, briefly share Zambia's journey into this sector. Over the past decade, we've expanded access to water in both urban and rural areas. We've invested significantly in sanitation and water infrastructure. We've strengthened institutional governance and accountability within the sector. We've also partnered with the private sector and multilateral institutions to pilot innovative financing models and nature-based solutions. We've also empowered women and the youth to take active leadership roles in water resource management. However, despite this progress, we are fully aware that no country can achieve sustainable water and sanitation outcomes in isolation. Therefore, regional collaboration and collective action are imperative to accelerating the pace of transformation. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in this context, we commend the African Union for selecting sustainable water availability and safe sanitation systems as the theme for the year 2026. The implementation framework that we emerge from this conference and subsequently be submitted to the AU Assembly must be bold, it must be actionable, and it must be grounded in the lived realities of African communities. Indeed, over the next 3 days, I urge all of us to center our deliberations around the people we serve, who include the smallholder farmer coping with the current droughts, the child in an informal settlement without access to safe sanitation, the woman who walks long distances in search of water for her household, and the enormous potential, indeed, that lies in productive water use to drive inclusive growth. Just here in Zambia, water security for us means food security. Water security in this country means energy security because we are mainly hydropower based. Indeed, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let us translate our collective expertise and political will into measurable commitments. Let's forge partnerships that deliver lasting change. And above all, let's ensure that no one is left behind in our quest for water security and sanitation for all. To you, our visiting ministers, we are available 24/7 to deliberate on these issues through our president. We are also available 24/7 to show you around Lusaka. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me thank you sincerely for your kind attention, but let me also urge you to deliberate strongly to find these solutions, because what we do here will feed into very important deliberations coming forward. G20 in South Africa, and the AU summit, heads of summit. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me request you all to rise as we will come to the podium. Our distinguished guest of honor, the Vice President of the Republic of Zambia, Dr. W.K. Nalumango.
Thank you very much. Please, we may take our Ms. Eunice G. Kamwendo, Director, UNECA Regional Office for Southern Africa, representing Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Her Excellency Amina J. Mohammed. His Excellency Mr. Moses Silakati, Africa Union Commissioner for Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy and Sustainable Environment, representing the Africa Union Chairperson, His Excellency Mr. Mohammed Ali Yusuf. Minister of Water Development and Sanitation, Honorable Collins Nzovu, MP. The Provincial Minister, Lusaka Province, Honorable Sheo Moliata, MP. Honorable Cabinet Ministers of the Republic of Zambia here present. Ministers of Water and Sanitation, Minister of Water and Sanitation, Senegal, and President of African Ministers' Council on Water, Dr. Sheikh Tidiane Dieye. Visiting honorable ministers from other countries in charge of water and sanitation, Her Worship, the Mayor of the City of Lusaka, Ms. Tilanda Tangala, Her Excellency, Ms. Carolina Stasiak, European Union Ambassador to Zambia, and COMESA, representing the European Union Commissioner for International Partnerships, His Excellency Jose Sekela. Mr. Mishira Chirwa, Director, Water and Sanitation, representing the Vice President, Agriculture, Human and Social
The Executive Secretary, Southern African Development Community, His Excellency Elias M. Magosi, representatives of the cooperating partners in the continental water sectors, UN Resident Coordinator, Ms. Beatrice Matali, members of delegations from PANAFCON-3 Secretariat, chairpersons of the service commissions, members of parliament here present, the permanent secretaries, the permanent secretary Lusaka Province, Engineer Joe Kalusa, invited permanent secretaries here present, members of the diplomatic corps accredited to the Republic of Zambia, senior government officials, the district commissioner for Lusaka, Ms. Rosa K. Zulu, members of the UPND National Management Committee, members of the UPND Council of Presidents, distinguished guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you very much. It's good to know you have people around. I must mention, already mentioned by everybody, but as I stand here, it's important that I mention that I'm reading this speech on behalf of the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, who, like other heads of state that were invited, has been unable to be with us due to other equally important engagements that definitely he would have loved to be here in person. But I am going to read on his behalf. And believe you me, I'll be extremely disciplined to read it word by word. It is with immense pride and profound gratitude that I welcome you all to the Republic of Zambia, and in particular to the greater city of Lusaka, a city of inclusivity and innovation, for the third African Implementation and Partnership Conference on Water, PANAFCON-3. On behalf of the people of Zambia, and as host president, I'm Hakainde now, on behalf of the people of Zambia and as host president, I extend my heartfelt greetings to ministers, commissioners of the African Union, members of Team Europe supporting the cause, regional economic communities, development partners, industry leaders, members of the media, and all stakeholders from Africa and beyond. Your presence here underscores our shared commitment to a transformative agenda for water and sanitation. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we gather under the broad and unifying theme, assuring inclusive and climate resilience, water security, and sanitation for Africa we want. This theme is a call to action, aligning with Aspiration 1 of the Agenda 2063, a prosperous Africa rooted in inclusive growth and sustainable development. It therefore demands that we place water and sanitation at the heart of our continent's health, prosperity, and peace. It will guide our deliberations over these next 3 days in this context. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, 25 years ago, African leaders envisioned an African Water Vision 2025, promising equitable and sustainable water use for socio-economic progress, poverty alleviation, regional cooperation, and environmental stewardship. Yet, as we stand past that milestone, we face a stark reality. Progress has not matched our ambition. rapid population, as we have heard before, rapid population growth, urban extension, climate variability, and chronic underinvestment have left millions without safe water and dignified sanitation. This gap threatens health, livelihoods, and stability across our country. In 2008, the Sharm el-Sheikh Declaration saw our leaders recommit to water and sanitation goals. Since then, regional economic communities such as SADC, working with the African Ministers' Council on Water, AMCAL, the African Development Bank, and the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, UNECA, have driven policies and programs to advance water security and sustainable sanitation on the African continent. But a critical barrier remains. A vast financing gap exists, and the urgent need for innovative approaches that recognize water as an economic driver and sanitation as a catalyst for opportunity, ADB. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at the 38th Ordinary Session of the African Union Assembly in February 2025, heads of state elevated water security to the forefront, adopting assuring sustainable water availability and safe sanitation systems to achieve the goals of Agenda 2063 as the 2026 theme. I was tasked with presenting an implementation framework for the post-2025 Africa Water Vision and Policy at the 39th Assembly in 2026. A framework aligned with Agenda 2063, driven by inclusive growth and underpinned by a compelling business case for water and sanitation. PANAFCON-3 is a pivotal step in this journey. Our mission is to move from vision to execution, forging a strategic framework, securing political buy-in, and mobilizing the financial and the technical resources needed to deliver water and sanitation for all and for the Africa we want. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, over the next 3 days, we will, one, through our dialogue, champion water and sanitation as engines of physical stability, job creation, and peace. 2, develop a climate resilient, inclusive, and financially viable action plan for the Africa Water Vision and Policy. 3, align regional economic communities, river basin organizations, the private sector, and development partners on roles and investment strategies. 4, de-risk water and sanitation projects to attract private capital and foster innovation in water-wise technologies and sanitation enterprises. By the end of PANAFCON-3, we aim to finalize a draft implementation framework for the 39th AU General Assembly, setting a clear path for adoption and action across Africa. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Zambia is deeply honored to host PANAFCON-3, a role endorsed by AMCAL in Cairo in October 2024, ratified by our Zambian cabinet in December 2024, and affirmed by the 38th AU General Assembly in February 2025. I commend our regional economic communities, river basin organizations, and the partners for shaping this program and rallying expertise. Let us harness this moment to showcase African unity. I urge all delegates to engage actively in shaping the post-2025 vision and policy, ensuring every voice, technical, political, and private sector, drives bold, collaborative solutions. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the water and the sanitation crisis is not merely a technical challenge. It is a test of our collective resolve. We must therefore, one, recognize its role in agriculture, energy, industry, and ecosystem. Two, create jobs, improve health, and build resilience against climate and health crisis. Three, blend public and private financing to match the scale of our needs. Four, embed them in national budgets, development plans, and continental frameworks. We owe it to our youth who demand decent livelihood, to the women who bear the burden of water collection, and to our environment, which sustains us all. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in closing, I call on every leader, expert, and partner here to invest in your wisdom, influence, and resources in PANAFCON-3's success. Let us ensure that at the end of this conference, we come up with unwavering commitments, political, technical, and financial, to transform water and sanitation across Africa. Together, we will build an Africa where every child has access to clean and safe water. Every family enjoys dignified sanitation, and every community thrives in resilience and prosperity. This is the Africa we want, and water security is its foundation. May our discussions be bold, our partnerships unbreakable, and our actions transformative. It is now my honor to declare PANAFCON-3 officially open. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. The Vice President of the Republic of Zambia, officially opening the Pan-African Conference. Thank you very much. And of course, that speech was delivered on behalf of the President of the Republic of Zambia. Ladies and gentlemen, we're heading towards the end of our first session of today's program, the session which has been the official opening ceremony of PANAFCON-3. We heard from various delegates as we started the day, having started with welcome remarks by the Honorable Minister for Lusaka Province, Honorable Sheo Munyata, after which Ms. Carolina Stasia, the EU Ambassador to Zambia and COMESA, delivered her remarks. Also, the UN voice was represented. Ms. Eunice Kamwendo was on hand to deliver remarks. Hadi, who else did we have?
We also had Mr. Mchera Chirwa, who was a director, Water and Sanitation from the African Development Bank, representing the Vice President. And then we were addressed in French by the Minister of Water and Sanitation from Senegal, who is also the President for the African Ministers' Council on Water, Dr. Chek Idiane Dieye. Then we had His Excellency Moses Vilakati, the Commissioner for Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy and Sustainable Environment from the African Union Commission, delivering those remarks on behalf of the chairperson, His Excellency Mahamoud Ali Yusuf. And then we also had our host minister, Honorable Collins Nzovu MP, the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation, who preceded our guest of honor, the Vice President of the Republic of Zambia, delivering that address and officially opening our summit on behalf of the President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema.
And indeed, to all our speakers, we'd like to say thank you so much for being here. Let's give them a round of applause.
So just before we close, we would like to indeed advise. You have heard the calls and the appeals from many of the speakers that have addressed us today for us to participate in the deliberations of our summit. We will have thematic sessions throughout the rest of the day today, tomorrow as well, and on Thursday. So we advise you to look up the program, which is on the website. If there are any changes that need to be made, those will be updated on the website. So please continue to check on the program on the website, and you will see also the venues and the presentations for these sessions. And also you'd like to know that there's a food court, a beautiful food court that has been set up for us on the north of our building. Once we exit, I'm sure you'll be able to see it. If you would like to go there and cannot find it, ask any of the staff that you will see around to help you locate it. And also the exhibitions. I do believe our guest of honor was ushered to the exhibition stands. Yes. And so the stands are open and available for all of us to visit. Let's take time to go there and appreciate what is being shown, what is being showcased, and of course to appreciate the staff that are manning those stations. And so we will now close our program by inviting Major Pastor Jackson Mbuzi from the Minister of Defense, the chaplain from the Minister of Defense, to give the closing prayer, after which we will have the three anthems, the same three anthems we had in the beginning, and then we'll remain standing as our guest of honor and the dignitaries, the entourage at the high table, are ushered out. They will be ushered to the spot that has been designated for a photo session, and so they will be led there. I believe we'll also invite ministers, the different ministers that have come, ministers of water, to also make your way to the area. The spot is just in the corner outside of our hall. If you exit on your left, there'll be a corner there that has been set up for the photos. So we'll invite you to also proceed. The ministers of water that are here, the guest ministers, to also follow after to join for those photos. So with that said, I invite you now to please stand for the closing prayer and the closing anthems, after which we remain standing as the guest of honor is ushered out to proceed for the photo session.
Shall we pray? Our gracious Father in heaven, we want to say thank you once again for the privilege, Jehovah God, to be here. Lord Jehovah God, indeed, you are ever dependable and ever reliable. So Jehovah God, we are saying thank you once again for your wisdom at work. Now, Jehovah God, as we disperse, we ask for the presence of the Holy Spirit to go before us in the name of Jesus. We commit our foreign dignitaries before you, that Jehovah God, may you grant them your protection and good health, even as we discuss matters that are affecting our African continent. We make our prayer in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, we pray. Amen.
We now have the three anthems.
you.